Here's my audience. Good evening, everyone. My name is Cameron Dyer, and today what I want you to do is picture a typical high school classroom. The teacher is explaining something important, maybe a new math concept or a discussion about a book. Now, take a second and look around the classroom. Half the students have their heads down, not taking notes, not thinking, but staring at their phones, scrolling, snapping, and texting. They're overall distracted. This is not a rare moment. It happens every day. And it's not just an inconvenience. It's hurting how students learn and how they connect with each other. This also affects how teachers teach, and so that's why I'm here today to talk about why smartphones should be banned in high school classrooms. Now, I'm not here today to push for punishments or taking away students' freedoms. I'm here because I've lived through this. I've been distracted by my phone during class, and I've seen how much better things go when everybody puts their phones away. When students are actually present, mentally and physically, learning improves. My goal today is to show you that banning smartphones in classrooms can help students focus more, learn better, and build stronger social connections. Phones in classrooms are more harmful than helpful, and if we keep them out during lessons, everybody will benefit. Now here's what we'll cover. First, I'll explain how phones hurt learning. Then, I'll explain how banning phones actually leads to better academic outcomes. And then finally, I'll talk about the social benefit of putting phones away. So, let's start with how phones affect student learning. Phones can be a major distraction for anybody, but for students who are always checking their phones, whether it's messages, social media, or just out of habit, it may seem like a small distraction, but even a quick glance can cause someone to miss something important that the teacher just said. This distraction is not just a feeling, it shows up in data. There are studies that confirm phones reduce academic performance. For example, according to a 2023 review in Education Sciences by Kang and Sung, smartphone use in school negatively affects learning outcomes across 14 different countries. They found that using phones in class lowers test scores and damages memory retention. Some students will take this a step further, and they'll use phones to cheat and rely on AI tools to do their work for them. This is very simple and super accessible. For example, a common book that high school students will have to do a review on is To Kill a Mockingbird. Let me show you how simple it is to use an AI engine to write a 500-word essay. Write me a 500-word essay on To Kill a Mockingbird at a high school level. It transcribes it. I click send, and within about 5 seconds, it gives me an entire essay at a high school level. Now, it's not just the students using their phones who suffer. A 2013 study by Computers in Education, Sana, Weston, and Cepeda showed that students using laptops or phones, they performed worse, but even their classmates who were sitting nearby also performed worse, whether they were using their electronic devices or not. Additionally, a study by Kuznikov, Muzz, and Tisworth, published in Communication Education, found that students who use phones for texting or Twitter during lectures scored significantly lower on all the comprehension tests than students who did not use phones at all. So, if phones cause this much damage in classrooms, what happens when we ban them? This is a reasonable argument to make, as we don't know what happens just by thinking about it. Fortunately for us, there's data that shows that students do better, teachers report fewer behavior issues and more participation, class time becomes more focused and productive when schools remove phones from the classroom. The same Computers in Education study that I mentioned earlier found that taking away phones leads to better test scores. Another study by Beland and Murphy, published in Labor Economics, looked at schools that banned phones and found that students' test scores improved, especially among students who are struggling the most. Without phones, students become more engaged. They ask more questions, they listen better, and the teachers can actually teach without feeling like they're competing with social media apps like TikTok or Snapchat for attention. Now, so far we focus on academic success, but phones affect students in other ways too. Let's talk about the social side of things. No phones means better social skills and less anxiety. When students put their phones away, they start talking to each other again. They make eye contact. They build real connections with each other. Phones create a barrier in students with the people sitting right next to them. Without that barrier, students have a chance to practice real communication. It also gives students a break from the stress of social media. Notifications, likes, and comparisons can create constant pressure. Without that buzzing in their pockets, students can focus on what's in front of them instead of who's liking their post. Psychologist Jean Twenge, in her 2017 book, iGen, explains that increased screen time, especially from smartphones, has been strongly linked to depression and anxiety among teens. And it also reduces the amount of face-to-face interaction they get. This emotional toll supports the idea that phones don't just hurt academic performance, they also affect the student's mental well-being. Now, when we ban phones, the classroom culture will improve as well. Group work can be much more effective because everyone is present and contributing. Students are more likely to learn and not be buried in their phones. These positive effects are backed by research. A lot of the same studies I mentioned, but also a study by Beland and Murphy shows that putting phones away does not just improve grades, but the classroom atmosphere, student engagement, and overall well-being. So, now we've talked about everything, let's bring it all together. Conclusions. Our conclusion is that we reviewed what we learned today. First, smartphones distract students and hurt their ability to learn. Second, schools that ban phones see real improvement in both test scores and student participation. And third, phone-free classrooms help create students that develop stronger social skills and feel less stress. So, what can we do as parents or even students to make this happen? Well, the first thing we can do is talk to our school board or administrators about implementing phone-free classroom policies. If you're a student, you can start a petition or join a student group that supports social distraction-free learning. The most important thing is to lead by example. What we can do is we can take our phones and put them away during class and encourage others to do the same. Together, we can create classrooms that are more focused, less anxious, and better prepared for students to succeed. Thank you for listening. I believe that if we all take part, we can build a stronger, smarter, and more connected classroom. Thank you. Have a good day.